That's your registration.
It's 650 miles as fast as you can do it.
Full throttle, never let off.
It's basically a race. It's a race around Lake Erie for small bikes. That's what it is.
This will probably be one of the longest single days I've ever had on a motorcycle.
I mean, it is a beautiful ride.
I made this event for small motorcycles because of my racing background. I wanted a race around the lake. I limited it to 200 cc's because I didn't want someone with their 1,000 cc sport bike wadding up their bike at 180 miles an hour on the QEW over in Canada. People, if you mention the word race, they're going to want to race. I mean, the speed limit up in Michigan was 70, and many of the bikes competing today can't hit 70. So yeah, we're racing, but we're not exceeding the speed limit by too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. You just get on your bike, go around Lake Erie, come back. You're done. Easy.
My name is Ken Carlson. I'm known as Crazy Ken because I participate in this event every year. This will be my third attempt.
You gotta be nuts to do it.
My wife thinks I'm thoroughly crazy.
The whole idea is crazy.
You can pretty much tell in the first five seconds of talking to somebody whether they're going to be a candidate for this. Some people, I mean, you tell them it's a 650 miles in one day, and they're like, wow, that's cool. Man, I wish I could do that. Most of the people are like, 650 miles in one day on a little tiny bike. Are you nuts?
Bill came to me about the Lake Erie Loop a couple of years ago, saying he had a great idea, and Bill's a long-distance rider, and I've done quite a bit of long-distance riding myself.
I have a collection of old bikes, and I've been riding for a long time, and I met Bill as a friend because I bought parts from him many years ago.
I'm a member of the Vintage Japanese Motorcycle Club, and Bill had put a notice on the club website about this event. And so I looked into it.
And then I joined the Yahoo group.
And Bill talked to me about putting this ride together around the lake, and I just thought it was great.
And having bought parts from him, he told me about the race and said, would you like to be a part of it? And I said, sure. Let's get it on.
I think the second I saw it, I knew it was something I wanted to do.
It's an exciting thing that he's doing, and I know it's for a good cause.
The charity that we do this for is the Aluminum Cans for Burned Children Foundation.
We're trying to raise money to help children who have severe burns. Part of the reason it's such a long endurance ride is also to remind people of what, you know, a long recovery, a burn is.
We supply them with any medical supplies that might not be covered under their insurance, or a lot of the kids don't even have insurance.
You're talking about children who have maybe been burnt on, you know, 70% of their body, and these are kids that really need help.
Another thing is we have a scholarship fund for the kids. In case any of them want to go on a higher education, there will be some money available for them. We have an education program, a Learn Not to Burn program. And part of that program is a large van and a trailer that's like a little two-story house for little kids. We have 2 burn camps, a winter and a summer camp. We've been involved in the winter camps. We take them to Brandywine ski area, and they go tubing and sledding, and they just have a ball. And then they camp out in the cabins overnight, and we have food for them all day, and it's just a joy to be with these kids.
And so ultimately, you know, motorcycling and endurance run aside, it's really about the kids, and we really want to try to do what we can to help them out.
So 4 years ago, we started raising money through a Four Corners ride around the United States. We had quite a bit of problems with the first run. My father was very ill at the time that we started it, and 4 or 5 days into the ride, he passed away. So we had to come back to Cleveland. We had the funeral services for him, and then maybe 5 or 6 days later, resumed the ride, and nothing really went right after his death. We did finish the ride. We did about 13,000 miles, went through 3 motorcycles, but we finished it, and we raised some money for the aluminum cans for Burn Children Fund. The next year we wanted to do something else, but I was not going to ride around the United States on a little 106cc motorcycle once again.
I wasn't going.
And she wasn't going to follow me in the motorhome. So we decided to do something else, and we came up with this. The first year we had 9 competitors.
The first year was held earlier in the year, earlier in May.
And at 6 o'clock in the morning, we were sitting there, it was 40-some degrees, and every bike was about that deep in rainwater.
They started off on a morning at about 50 degrees, rainy, cold, and they hit it.
First year we had horrible rain, and it was so cold, and hypothermia was a real problem.
We all left, and it was cold and it was miserable.
Some of these guys actually stopped at Walmart and left their wet boots and socks and bought clean boots and dry socks and continued to race.
It was terrible. It was just absolutely ridiculous.
Doug Harwood, who won the event the first year, he lives in Buffalo. He stopped in Buffalo and changed clothes.
The early pioneers of the Lake Erie Loop definitely earned their wings on that ride that day.
There's a whole lot that really goes into this behind the scenes that nobody sees. And, you know, when we got back, I'm thinking, man, 9 people, we're not doing this again. I'm done with this, and, you know, we'll figure out another way to raise money. But then at the pancake breakfast on Sunday morning, these guys who went through hell with me on the ride were saying, well, yeah, you know, you beat me this year, but next year I'm going to build this bike, and I'm going to build that bike. And they were so enthused, and I thought, yeah, we'll try a Lake Erie Loop too and see what happens. And we had a few more people, and we created a touring category, because that way the large bikes could also take part in it, but they wouldn't be competing. They were just along for the ride, as it were.
These guys that did the tourist class on the big motorcycles, that is fantastic. These are guys that aren't competing. They just want to go for the ride. They want to support the event.
Well, now in the smaller bikes, the ones actually in the competition, there's 3 classes. There's class 1, that's 50cc, vintage up to 110. And any bike older than 30 years old is considered vintage. In class 2, it's 125cc, and if it's vintage, it's 160. In class 3, it's 200cc, vintage up to 225.
What do you get if you win? Well, first of all, you'll get mounds of fame and glory will be heaped on you. You'll probably get television interviews, might hit Letterman. You'll definitely be in all the local newspapers and radio stations. You're assured instant fame and glory. On top of that, there is some prize money for first, second, and third place in each class. That's 50-50. Each rider pays a $50 entry fee. Half of that money goes directly to the benefit. The other half actually pays out the first, second, and third place. That said, there's sort of been a tradition where riders have actually stepped up and donated their purse back to the benefit as well. So there's no real specific route set out. Each rider is allowed to pretty much plot their own course.
This year I'm going to go counterclockwise. There's no set pattern, there's no magic formula, just whatever people want to do. My goal is to get away from Cleveland first thing in the morning and not have to deal with Cleveland again.
There are, however, 5 checkpoints during the Lake Erie Loop.
I will need a receipt from 50 miles within the surrounding border of Detroit. Gas receipt, food receipt, anything like that. I need a receipt. Yeah, a traffic ticket for speeding, you know, they usually time now. Then when you go to the eastern end of the lake, I need a receipt from 50 miles within the borders of Buffalo. Some of us will be taking the New York Thruway. Some of us will take the Ohio Turnpike. If you get those receipts, we'll certainly take those into consideration. And we need 1 receipt from somewhere in Ontario. Those of you with chase vehicles, please have them be chase vehicles, not lead vehicles busting the air for you and drafting them.
I want to see official copy of the rules on that.
It's about the drafting. If you're going to draft,
It's all about the drafting.
Drafting is when you get directly behind a larger vehicle, and what that does is they break the air in front of you, so you can, on a bike that normally would maybe only go 70 miles an hour, they will be sucked along by the vehicle in front of them that may be doing 80. So if you were by yourself and all you can do is 70, now you can do 80, or however fast that person is going.
I can go 55 on my own, but like Charlie says, you get a draft, do a little drafting, you can go 60.
It's something that's done in like NASCAR and motorcycle racing and all forms of racing, but on the city streets it's kind of a scary thing, because if that person has to stop, you have no chance of stopping before you hit them. Or if they blow a tire on the semi, it's, I mean, I enjoy racing, but I don't want to die doing this. I must bring it up, the copper rule. In order to consider a finisher, you must finish under your own power, not being towed in or pushed in or pedaled in or anything. Your motor must be running on at least one cylinder when you make it back in. Charlie Cooley is back to defend his title. Yeah. Charlie's official reign ends tonight as the overall finisher of the Lake Erie Loop.
First year I was dead last. Second year I was first.
So he bookends the event, so he's finished somewhere in the middle now.
And this year I will again repeat my my second year win. I'm very confident of that this year, and in spite of everyone telling me that that isn't going to happen, but I know better.
I think I am going to be sure to stock up on a cooler full of nice cold beer for when I do get across the finish line, to just kick back and relax and watch all the other riders come in.
Okay, that's it, we're done. Everybody get a good night's sleep and ride safe tomorrow. I want to see everybody here tomorrow night. Hopefully I'll be here to greet most of you as you come in.
Wishful thinking.
Final question, what's up with the Steeler hat? This is Browns country here.
Well, I come from Pittsburgh area, so I do it honestly. Even when I lived in Buffalo, I wore a Steeler hat.
Hey, I was in Pittsburgh during the playoff game when Carlson Palmer got nailed.
Yeah. Second play of the game, right?
Yeah.
That was terrible.
It was, yeah.
I felt bad about that too.
Yeah.
That you don't want to see that happen to any competitor.
Right.
Just like I don't want Charlie's bike to break down.
I've ridden 1,400 miles in a day. I've ridden, longer than that. But I've never ridden such a small bike, such a long distance, in basically like in the forced march mentality.
And I try to watch my navigation, because that's probably the biggest trick of all, is being sure that you don't take a wrong route.
You've got the lake off to your right, hopefully, the whole trip. Somewhere. It's somewhere over there. If you get too lost, go till you hit water and turn left.
I've got a crib sheet on my tank, and I have every 50 miles things that I've got to be doing. Turn-offs, routes, and all that stuff. And so basically I don't think about the 650 miles or the 14 hours. Basically I'm thinking that in 50 miles I got to be looking for this exit. 50 miles I got to be making this turn. 50 miles I got to be doing. Before you know it, you're just clicked off the mile, because you're going at it one step at a time rather than worrying about the whole event.
When you're riding for that type of distance, you get tingling in your hands can go numb holding onto the handlebars. Your feet just touching the foot pegs, everything gets tingly and numb, and you generally are going to be probably moving around a little bit, changing positions on the bike, slide back, slide forward, lean down.
You can stay sane if you can have 3 different positions to ride in.
Okay.
So like you can be riding upright, should be the most comfortable, and then you need to have like a modified, and then you need to have like the lounge chair position. Yeah, like the completely laid out like this. And if you can do that on a bike, and you can change your position enough times, you can stay comfortable.
Stay comfortable.
And you keep your mind sharp too. There's a moment in every race where you can judge yourself and you can say, boy, I'm really doing poorly, or man, I'm doing really great. Well, I didn't have that moment until I was in like Ontario. These guys on the 200cc motorcycles passed me. And I was like, well, I'm already on the other side of the lake and they're just passing me now. Well, I gotta be doing good.
Good time.
Yeah, I gotta be making good time. So at that point, my brain switched over from being kind of a, we're just doing this for fun to prove that the bike's durable. And at that point, I really did go into the red mist kind of competition mode. And I started taking my marker out and writing on my Speedo all my mileage points. So I knew that at 112 miles, the bike stopped running. So, you know, at that wide open throttle. So I started getting all these, you know, crazy ideas in my head.
Muffler here came up.
Oh shit.
The welds broke off on it. So
What's that mean?
Well, we're just gonna have to wire it up, and I got some baling wire. We're gonna wire the shit out of it and try to hold on them.
These bikes are not designed to do 650 miles in a day. It's just amazing what these people do to keep these things together. They duct tape them, they come in with things strapped to them and bungee cords and duct tape.
At full throttle with a lot of vibrations, these old bikes tend to loosen up quite a bit.
Ernie's bike, the first year, his swing arm bolt almost fell out. And the swing arm bolt basically holds the back end of the motorcycle on.
His front fender actually fell off and went under the front of his tire.
And when we went to load the bike into his truck the next day, I went to lift it up by the shock, and the shock came off in my hand.
So he had a pretty eventful ride that time, but he made it home safely.
We all kind of took that for the second year as a little learning experience that I'm going to safety wire stuff on so it doesn't fall off. Safety wiring is when you drill a hole through the bolt and screw the nut on and then put some wire on there so it doesn't fall off.
Even a dab of super glue helps keep them from vibrating loose.
These people that do the Lake Erie Loop really do a whole lot of stuff that's above and beyond just to compete.
It's challenging, well, again, both physically on the rider and the motorcycle.
One of them changed the motor yesterday mid-race.
My goal is not to win.
The one guy blew his electrical system.
My goal is to finish.
Mostly everybody makes it, which is almost surprising. I mean, a lot of people think it would be tough, that people would be dropping off like flies, but the majority of people, with only a few exceptions, are actually to make it.
These guys are extremely enthusiastic. It's a very small group, but extremely competitive and extremely motivated to do this. It's amazing. My hat's off to all of them.
Had to be longer, it had to be.
Yeah.
But I saw you coming across when we were sitting at the light.
Here comes a big scooter.
Coming in before us. Here we go.
You've got this thing off.
He's got his hands going.
Oh, yeah.
Are your legs working yet?
No, they're still a little silly. Oh my God. Oh, man.
Well, you beat it to go a little bit faster.
We got to round out a little bit there for a while. Oh, there you go.
Boy, that's something. That's the first time in 12 hours.
Yeah.
I think 75 pictures were taken of me. I probably got 200 fingers.
Because
I got
going
one
so fast?
actual get a real bike fag. And the guy slowed down and got real close, rolled the window down. I thought he was going to give me I got like 2,000 thumbs up. You know, all these women are like, oh, you know, that's great. Then this guy rolls the window down. I'm like, you know, something good. Get a real bike, fag! And I was like, and your license plate's falling off. And I was like, I lost one. I had lost a nut out of it. It was dangling around. So I was like, okay.
The pancakes up, please.
I started racing vintage motorcycles in 1990. I won 2 national road racing titles in the vintage classes.
This gives me a chance to be a racer or a competitor, if you will, without being full-blown motorcycle racing.
I've got several Iron Butt Association certificates for 1,000 miles in one day.
I get to tear down a motorcycle and build it up from scratch and try to make improvements on a very low budget.
I'm involved in another scooter race in September. And in that race, we're racing from Portland, Oregon to New Jersey.
I've always liked motorcycles ever since I was a little kid. I begged for a mini bike, I begged for a motorcycle, I never got one.
My first motorcycle was a 1969 Sears 106.
Got my first motorcycle when I was about 15, an old dirt bike. Didn't tell my parents about it.
I mean, bikes have been a part of my life since I was a kid in Florida, you know, back in the early 60s, so I've always been riding.
And then even the bike I got when I was 16 wasn't really too good. Kind of went through halfway through college without a bike, and then now at age 35, on my own and with my own house and in my own garage, I've kind of overcompensated for the lack of motorcycles in my youth. I've got tons of them and I'm kind of obsessed with them. I think more about motorcycles than just about anything else, except my wife.
It's just something I enjoy very, very much.
It's like anybody with a sport or hobby. You know, it's something, if you like it, and you do it. I just want to thank my wife and family for supporting me in something that most people out there think is absurd, and really taking me seriously about it and being there for me. And it's been great doing this with all you guys. I finally got to do the run, and winning is just icing on the cake. I mean, I was literally bawling with joy just to be out there and riding when I hit the turnpike and was behind a semi at 72 miles an hour. I was so relieved after a whole year of anxiety over this thing. It was just beautiful. It was the most fun I've had on a motorcycle ever. Yeah.
Stefan was last heard from in Mentor about 2 hours ago, hauling ass here at approximately 32 miles an hour.
You know, I'm secretly hoping it drags out so that we can see Stefan pulling up the gravel road.
Well, I'm going to be here when he gets here.
Yeah?
I'm going to stick around. You know, I think we're kind of officially done, but if you do want to stick around and see Stefan come zooming up with his... Yeah, so we had fun and everybody was whipped, but the weather was great as far as no rain or anything like that.
It's an adventure, it's a challenge. I guarantee you when you get home, you're going to feel good about yourself. It's going to be something you're going to tell your grandkids about.
Last year we raised about $1,800 for the kids. I hope that we'll get up around $2,000 this year, but I don't know. You know, if we raise $50, it's $50 that the kids didn't have before.
It's something I can identify with, and I feel really good about it.
We know we did something, and we had a great time doing it. And we're planning Lake Erie Loop 4. The planning begins
2007.
Planning begins today, yeah.
If you're interested in checking out more about the Lake Erie Loop, you can log on the internet and go to www.lakeerieloop.com. From the website, you can join the Yahoo group and you can see what everybody has to say about it.
door clear.
Awesome.
I like the shoes. Can I offer you if we have any? Do we have any coffee?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Congratulations, man. Thanks. Glad to see you made it back. My hero, man. What is the time?
28 hours and 51 minutes.
Holy shit.
But that's a record nobody will want to ever break. You've got it forever.
Last year I had a sleeveless shirt on and shorts, and I got a wicked sunburn. This year, I packed a couple extra things, and when I actually got on the road, I was like, oh man, this is cold. Ooh, there we go. Okay, this was my ring.
That's one.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. This is everything I had.
He wasn't going fast enough to get caught.
Oh man.
Hey, he ain't done. Where's the music? Come on. Anybody got some dollars? Because we're going to be tucking them in pretty soon.
He's like Rustin. He's like Russian nesting doll.
He's still going. Smile. Step out. Oh, hey, we get the idea. Okay. His shorts.
My thighs got so cold.
And how many pairs of socks?
Remember, throw dollar bills.
2 pairs of
You
socks.
realize if you didn't have all the clothes, you could have been in hours earlier.
I would have been in Walmart.
We were dragging things out, hoping that you would make it back, and we were just about to wrap things up, and I said,
Step right on the money.
you know.
If you'd have been 5 minutes later, you'd have come out and there would have been nobody here.
I really appreciate
Yeah,
you guys.
it was awesome. No, believe me, you did great, man.